Hello lads, I'm your man Glide and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be covering spam spots on Hollywood. It's going to be good. So when you're getting ready to defend the first point, one of the important things I'd recommend you do is make sure you punch away all of these railings. Because it is unbelievably annoying when your projectiles get caught on these and cause you to miss. It's just terrible. Do that. So now that we got that one squared away, you're going to be ready. So the attackers are coming out of the doors, and if you wait just behind this blue car here, you are free to fire projectiles over the top, and you're at no real risk of taking damage because you can just retreat through this corridor. It's going to get in a nice bit of damage on the attackers coming down here, and say what you will about arguments about building the healer's ults. That's what Junkrat is for, dealing damage. It's a good start. So as you're retreating through this corridor as the attackers advance, I'd recommend dropping a steel trap just down here. It's going to catch a lot of people off guard who walk around and try and go straight to the point. From there, you're going to do a nice mine jump all the way up here, and you can just spam away from here. There's no real line of sight for the attackers, but the arc on your projectiles means that you are free to rain hell from above, and what a good feeling that is. Now, it's a very common strategy to try and take the high ground on this map, because high ground gives you better line of sight possibilities and easier landing for projectiles. So there's a good chance that you will be kicked off here as Junkrat. Now the correct place to go is if you throw a mine down here and jump across to this balcony, you can reflect grenades off this wall here, shoot grenades up onto the balcony where the enemies have taken, and if all else fails, fall back here where you can bounce them out of the porchway to do a nice bit of chip damage if you're lucky. Now another good place to stand at the start of the round is just up on these stairs. It gives you a much wider line of sight to the general attacker lobby. However, it does come at the risk that you may be pushed out and covered from both sides. So what I recommend doing is making sure again you punch away these railings so they're a pain. If you throw a mine down here at the round start, you'll have your mine back up again, and if you're trained in the art of the Junkrat double jump, you can get a nice escape to this corridor over here. Now once you're in this room over here, you are nigh unattackable. Nobody with half a brain is going to try and make their way through that archway, and even if they do, you can just fall back eventually, if you want to, all the way to your spawn. As enemies start to go back to the point, you just flip back out of here, and you can rain some justice onto the point while having the security that no one is going to make it through this arch. Now, before we move on to the payload track, I'd like to briefly cover the Riptire. It's considered one of the most inconsistent ultimates in the game, because a well-placed rocket, or Hanzo arrow, or 2 Zenyatta orbs, or just about anything is going to do damage to it, so you can't really afford for the tire to be in the open for an extended period of time. Now, a good place to stand when you ultimate is just on these stairs. Not only is it quite secluded as you can get on the first point, but it means that you can jump your tire straight onto the point, and there's not going to be any time to do damage before that takes out one or both healers. Now, another good ultimate spot, this time a little bit on the aggressive, for if the healers are waiting back behind the rest of the pack. What you're going to do is you're going to chuck a mine down here, and then you're going to jump over this roof and press Q. Nobody expects the flank rat. Surprise, Zenyatta! You're dead, mate. So, I think that's just about first point squared away. So you've been kicked off of first point, and where are you going to go from there? Now the obvious choice is to the high ground. So you chuck down a mine, do a nice jump over this, whatever it is, and you've made it up here. Now, this is one of the most heavily contested areas in the first section of the payload bit on Hollywood. So the first thing I would recommend doing is chucking down a steel trap on this moving platform. This very often catches people off guard as they're just looking to get up here and fight you, but they die. Or at least take some damage, I guess, which is cool. Now, it is possible to fight from up here on this raised section, but the problem is that this is a very popular place to be dived by high mobility heroes. So if you stay up here for too long and do too much work, D.Va and Winston and Genji are going to come and jump on you, and they're going to ruin your day, and you're going to be forced to have to jump down where you're not as useful. So what I'd recommend doing is falling back across this bridge, and instead taking pot shots over this barrier. Junkrat's grenade arc means that most of the bombs, regardless of where you land them, are just about going to finish and explode on this section in front of the balcony, which is just where you want them. Not to mention you're well within the security of your team, and you can jump down for protection from divers if that becomes a problem, and of course, jump back up with relative ease. When the payload starts to come around the bend, as it most often does, when you're up there it's not going to be as effective anymore because it's difficult to get your grenade to trajectory down onto the payload. So I'd recommend standing up here instead. I like this place because it gives you very wide line of sight on pretty much everywhere on the battlefield, so you're going to be able to see divers coming for you from a long way away. Not to mention those heroes without vertical mobility are completely unable to make it up here, meaning heroes like Soldier and McCree are completely unable to challenge you. It also gives you nice safety when you decide to pop your ultimate. So once attackers have made it through the big doors here, one of the most important places to hold is this doorway, because the attacker spawn is just there and they're going to be rolling through here. So I'd recommend standing just back here on these stairs, because it means that you can just about angle your grenades up so that they land and will hit people coming through the doors, while still remaining in relative safety with a nice choke point here that no one's going to be able to get through, or at least not successfully. Now, it's quite a popular strategy for Junkrat players to play along this corridor here, but personally I don't think that this is a good idea because of the existence of dive tanks who are going to kill you. They can make it through this doorway without too much trouble, and once you're stuck in here there's no escape except going all the way back behind enemy lines. Best case scenario, you escape with very little HP and with 20 seconds of your time wasted versus a dive tank who's lost absolutely nothing. Worst case scenario, you're dead and you have achieved nothing and you should feel ashamed of yourself. Now, in my opinion, a much better place to stand is just here. Now, it might be a little bit more exposed than the other locations, but I mainly like it because of this angle just here. This is going to do damage to people in and around this health pack, which is a common place for flankers trying to get an entry into this right side. Not to mention the fact that you are holding down this doorway makes it impossible for anyone to come through here, making it there be one less entry to the last point that your team has to hold down. Just this main entrance is far superior and a very good ultimate location to boot as well. Now, that's about all we got time for today. If you loved this video, please make sure to drop it a like. If you didn't, drop it a dislike. But if you really loved it, make sure to subscribe. Anyway, this has been me, and I'm out. Thanks, guys.